is Rob. Basically, I just want to go over some talking points for David Lawson, Stalking in America. I received this information from Starfish Girl. The website is www.educateyourself.org/CN/gang stalking 2001. What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to actually go over a few points that I consider extremely valid and extremely valuable to help us understand this thing of organized gang stalking. First point is who is behind the stalking? Groups. Corporations. Groups are mostly used by corporations to stalk their enemies or potential enemies. Organized crime. Many groups have links to convicted criminals and associations with organized crime. Who is considered a threat to a company, a corporation, or industry? Any whistleblowers, activists, people who fight for equal pay, illegal immigration is another big one. The groups are well financed by corporations, criminal groups committing crimes such as robbery, theft, drug trafficking, and some targets are a source of corporate revenue. Groups are operated as a business, and the sole beneficiaries are actually leaders. Question, who are the leaders? Leaders pretend that they are larger-than-life characters with heroic backgrounds. They are looked upon with reverence by their followers, and typically their backgrounds and alleged heroism can't be independently verified because it allegedly involves national security, and leaders pretend that their groups are committed to bringing about some change. In general, group leaders remain isolated from the activities of the followers, and leaders don't privately meet with the group members because of the fact of plausible deniability, because they can always say, well, I never knew anything about it. And seriously, they never knew anything about it, but yet it's part of an overlying or a global conspiracy. What do the group leaders get out of it? Financial power and or political power. Because if they harass these people enough, the system of rewards in favor of the stalkers will actually be greater power, greater financial power. Who are the members? Right-wing groups, left-wing groups, special interest groups, animal rights, pro-life, environment, anti-nuclear, and because their individual membership is quite small, extremist groups tend to network locally, and they're made up of a combination of some people from many different groups in an area. Groups cloak their true identities by posing as citizens groups, clubs, churches, frats, New Age cults, religious cults. What do the group members get out of it? They believe they're filling the higher purpose of the group, even though they may only have a general idea about what the group is doing. They're having fun with their friends, and that fun involves stalking and harassing various targets and engaging in other civil disobedience. The people who are attracted to groups which engage in cause stalking are those who feel powerless, inferior, and angry, and they're empowered by groups. These are people who have been either picked on in their lives, people who feel powerless with their environments, people who are inferior, people that are very introverted and angry, somebody who's just PO'd at the whole system and just wants to get back at somebody or something, so they join these groups in order to avenge that wrong. What's the psychology behind organized gang stalking and cause stalking? It's a game. The groups are rallied by the constant victories they win, and they play with their targets. It doesn't matter that the targets aren't playing a game, and it doesn't even matter if the target knows what's going on. It's most important that other group members know what they are doing. It's their entertainment. It's an addiction. And many become addicted to it because it fulfills some human needs, just like I said before about powerless, inferior, angry. It's an obsession. These groups are obsessed with every aspect of their targets' lives. They spend considerable amount of time and money and describing to one another what they did, what the reaction of the target was, although it might not be true. These groups are cults. Groups are introverted. Their interaction with one another is more important than their interaction with the target, meaning that it's important to tell the group what you did versus what you actually did. So, and also too, it doesn't even matter if the target knows what's going on. It fulfills that need to let them know that, yeah, well, I got them back for something. Who do the groups target? Public officials, IRS agents, Treasury agents, activists of all kinds, especially civil rights activists, whistleblowers, abortion workers, etc. These specific groups, certain target groups, They normally target gay people, African Americans, and Jewish. Public officials, including police officers who have been accused of wrongdoing, those in the media, also radio, television, and publishing, and those with fame, but not enough money to isolate themselves from these groups. Immigrants. Groups typically target any presiding judge over the trial of one of their members. Groups also attack targets of convenience. These people are selected because they are convenient targets and not for any other reason, either because of the proximity of where they are to where they're demonstrating. If somebody lives by somebody, if they live by the target, if they work with the target, if they tend to do the same things that the target does just by coincidence, like going to the movies or something like that. It helps that they're convenient targets, and that's just the way it is. These loners tend to be more vulnerable to harassment tactics than those with family and friends around them, because people who have friends and families around, they have that support group. So targets of convenience are used for practice. People somebody who may wonder what the heck is going on, but meanwhile, the person who's not even being targeted is being targeted just as like a practice, just to see what affects people, what doesn't affect people. Sexual predators whose name and addresses and photos are public information, which is available on government websites. In small towns where extremist groups can actually have some power, they also target new people in a town who don't know anyone. The attitude of the extremists is that they control their areas and unknown people can't be trusted. Animal rights activists stalk those who own fur ranches, furriers, research scientists working in the field of biomedical research using animals, executives of McDonald's. Eco-terrorists target politicians, bloggers, etc. Groups normally also attack family and friends and associates of a target, even the businesses he patronized, sort of like as a punishment, to met out punishment. But the funny thing about it is, because he's been sensitized to all these things, the funny thing is that because he's been sensitized, people who don't know anything about it are just wondering that they're having a bad day. But meanwhile, the target sees it and knows what's going on, so therefore they become sensitive to that. What purpose does the target serve to the group? All targets are important in terms of rallying groups, example, winning the game, providing activities, recruiting new members, keeping existing members in line, and by making a statement to the community. And some are even a source of financial revenue. Some people actually have their hands in the money, and therefore that's what the target does for the group, that they have that ability. How are targets identified? Any sort of broadcast on right-wing stations, the internet, YouTube, print articles, public meetings. Group members are not acting under direct orders. The leaders identify the targets, but it's up to the followers to decide what to do. So basically the leaders say, okay, that's the problem person, and then allowing the followers, the stalkers, to actually formulate what they're going to do. Sometimes they have meetings about it. Sometimes they sit down, talk about it. They say, okay, well, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this, we can do that, we can try this, we can try that. And lo and behold, they have their own tailored thing, their own tailored harassment protocol, if you will. What are the group's objectives? To harass the target constantly, provoke any reaction, make sure the target knows he's being watched, so like sensitizing, try to find ways of making the target interact with them, regardless of whether the target is going out to throw away the garbage, driving to work, sitting in a coffee shop, writing a book, anything. And ideally the target would not be able to go anywhere in public without having to deal with these people in some way. To destroy a person's life by attacking the weakest point, which could be their spouse, their child, their dog, their relatives, their property, anything that the target holds near and dear to them. That's what they'll go after, because they know that it's successful in the harassment. How do they achieve their objectives? Many tactics are tried and the result is observed, which evoke a response from the target. And they discuss whether or not the target has actually been sensitized to the things that they've been doing, and then they'll try to embellish on that. You can be riding in a car, and let's say you're a target, and somebody cuts you off. Somebody will be right next to you to see how you react to it, and then they can embellish on that, can constantly cut you off because they know that has your reaction. You don't have any reaction to it, well, then they'll try something else. We ask, how long does it last? Most targeted individuals, it's done for years, months. Moving won't help. If he's a target in one area, he'll remain a target everywhere he goes. How did the group sensitize the target? Picture taking, filming, note taking, recording, spying, having uniquely marked vehicles follow the target without the frequent trade-offs which are normally used, having the same vehicle parked in front of his house at night, tactics that he used, any vehicle-related tactics, numerous different vehicles hanging around a certain area, traveling in convoys with high beams, drivers in convoys waving at each other. Now you may ask, well, what's a convoy? A convoy is a group of cars that are usually the same color or the same type, that drive around the target, whether in front, whether in back, whether left, right. Sort of a convoy can be thought of as like a funeral procession. You know, when somebody's going to the funeral, how they have all the cars with the headlights on. That's an example of a convoy, except that there is no funeral, and that the only funeral that they wish for is your own. So they attempt to intercept the target vehicle at intersections, trying to force the target vehicle off the road, you know, overt acts like that, vandalizing the target's vehicle, including slashing tires, scratching paint, stealing license plates, draining the oil and antifreeze over a period of time versus all at once, because if it's done all at once, well, then we kind of know it's vandalism. But if it isn't vandalism and it's done slowly, then you tend to think that, oh, well, I just have a leak somewhere. But meanwhile, your reaction to it, you know, because they like to see you be able to solve the riddles and the tricks that they put in front of you, sort of like deranged pranksters. Face-to-face tactics when they're actually in front of you, following a target everywhere he goes, standing around a target while he's paying for a purchase, swarming the target, totally surrounding a target, physically intimidating a target by standing very close, sitting near a target in a restaurant, and just glaring at the target. When a target sits anywhere in a group members will attempt to sit behind him in order to create noise, distraction, by whatever means, including tapping their feet on the target chair, sort of like in a movie theater, walking by the target and doing weird things to attract his attention, such as blinking the eyes, reading the time from an imaginary watch, wristwatch, oh, it's 2:30, and making faces at them. Noise campaigns, generating noise around the clock, interfering with sleep, excessive noise, trying to wake up the target at night as many times as they can, people yelling and screaming outside, numerous different vehicles, squealing their tires, honking their horns, hanging around a certain area, apartment noise campaigns, tapping on the walls in the middle of the night, taps, faucet running, hammering, noises coming from the upper and lower apartments, and possibly the apartment on both sides. Ideally, noise at time activities of the target, such as when a target goes outside, when a target flushes the toilet, when a target turns on the water faucet, when a target walks near a window. These are all the things that people have attempted to do in order to rile. Other tactics, controlling the target's time, which is a big one because people tend to be, you know, creatures of habit. But if they interfere with the time, you know, that they say, well, you can go here, but you can't go there. You should go here, but you can't go there, kind of deal. You know what I'm saying? They try to make it so that they control your time. Now, we all know that that's ain't going to happen. If they can occupy your time, then they'll have a very successful day because it's known, oh, good, well, at least we got a rise out of today. And all of a sudden, it becomes like a reward for the target. Anyway, folks, I just want to read these small points about organized gang stalking. This is part 1.